Moti is really eager to listen to your questions. I can't hold you back anymore. Please. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought up this thing of fear and superiority, because I connected it to a comment Yossi Klein Halevi made a couple of days ago, in which he said our options
Please
are...
present yourself.
I'm Jessica Klein, I'm from Mexico. I'm a member of KolDor and a member of PIX also. And he said that Jews either are powerful or powerless. And my first thought was, well, where does the quantum physics and quantum mechanics come into play here? Because we need to build a new paradigm. I would say this is the past. Fear and superiority is past. And powerlessness and power, how do you define power? So the idea is, when KolDor was making the definition of what KolDor was about, they mentioned something about anti-Semitism. And I objected to it. Why did I object to it? Because in quantum physics they say, whatever you focus on, you create more of. So I say, why focus on your enemies? Why don't you focus on your friends? This is a new way of thinking. And I think if we don't bring this thought along to our peoplehood concept, we're going to stay in the old paradigm. So I'm very glad you brought it up, and that's what I want to say. I think we need to rethink our language and our vision to really bring forward something new for the young people. There you go.
Right on.
Thanks. Thank you. You want to answer?
Did we want to get some?
You want to get some more questions, and then we'll ask more? Okay, sure.
Just look at
Can we live without anti-Semitism?
Absolutely, we need to live
Okay,
with
let's get
love.
more questions. Yogev.
I'm Yogev, I work for the EJ, lots of
PCI.
I think that you can't define Jewish peoplehood because it's not meant to be defined, first of all. That's the thing about Jewish peoplehood. And I think what is more important about Jewish peoplehood is the implication it has on Jewish identity. I believe that the tomorrow of the Jewish people is Jewish peoplehood. But I'm not so sure that this tomorrow is right, because once we'll have Jewish peoplehood, what will be the next phase? I mean, what kind of core Jewish identity would we have after we go through the phase of Jewish peoplehood?
Or like in 300 years? In 300 years?
No, I think it would happen within a generation. I mean, how much time would Jewish peoplehood last? Would the children of those Jewish people would be Jews? What kind of Jews would they be? These are the questions we should ask ourselves, in my belief. And if you have any questions to that, I would like to hear it.
Hi. We've been doing creative Zionism here for about four and a half weeks now, and we've had a lot of speakers say a lot of controversial things. Yochanan Levi being the most recent. The question I want to ask is actually from a source text that we've talked about a bit with some of our fellows, and that's from Achad Ha'am. I want to challenge the notion of peoplehood a bit. Achad Ha'am pointed out in Jewish State, Jewish Problem that Western European Jews spend all their time trying to come up with solutions to the problem of the Jewish people, because essentially they have no Judaism, or they have no sort of connection to the Jewish past, and they want to sort of plane the arena of world politics, and therefore they, in a sense, came up with Zionism. Whereas the Achad Ha'am said that the Eastern European Jews, who do have a sense of Judaism, they're looking for a solution to Judaism, and therefore they, approach Zionism from a very different perspective and consider it sort of, in a sense, integral with Judaism. And I'm wondering whether or not peoplehood, and this whole recent discussion of peoplehood that's emerged in the past few years, is even necessary, and whether or not we could have just brought in the notion of Zionism and talked about a Zionism where there's a stable state and the Jewish people acting as a global force with sort of a hub and center in Israel, and whether or not the sort of emergence of this notion of peoplehood is again a kind of an example of, in my opinion, a non-Israeli desire to play in this realm of sort of power politics, so that we can have a State Department for the Jewish people, like the AJC calls itself, and a JPPPI that's bringing together all these people to make policy decisions about how we're going to relate to Asia. Honestly, I don't know if the Jewish people are going to really relate to Asia. What about the Israel work money?
That's very, very interesting, provocative, and great step forward. Because I believe that the world is global today. However, Israel, because of our neighbors, unfortunately, and the place in the world that God decided to stuck us in. That the angel came to God and said, "Hey God, it's not fair. Your favorite people, chosen people, that's fine, but you give everything to these people in this little land, from the desert to the mountains to the green to the Rift Valley, everything." He said, "Wait until you see the neighbors." To some extent, we are some dimensions, some layers of Israel as a Jewish state plays very well. Bless. We're more than blessed.
Rasta, he said yes.
To some extent, because of the hostile environment, physical environment Israel is, we cannot really be, as a state, an actor in the global scene. Travel to UK, travel to Europe, not to America. Travel to Europe, travel to a part of Indonesia as an Israeli. You can't do things as an American Jew can. So I think, and from my perspective as an Israeli, who is limited to travel and do business or negotiation training in Indonesia and Malaysia, unfortunately, I do look for the window that will allow me to this identity that will allow me to play in the global scene without without losing my very strong connection to Israel, and be with having more and more lovers, neighbors, brothers who are Jew. I mean, the Zionism.
What you say is very interesting, though. It's anti-Zionism forces you. You need peoplehood as an Israeli because you need access.
Well, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of that's not the beauty actually. That's the ugliness of limited conversation.
Okay.
There's no Zionism, anti-Zionism, and post-Zionism. There's also neo-Zionism. Zionism was an answer to a certain period, to a certain problems. It's not that Herzl woke up one day and said, "Hey, maybe I should invent something which is called nationalism." No, nationalism was there. The brilliant thing that Herzl did is combine nationalism with Jewish. Okay, that was the conceptual breakthrough. What we are trying to do now is link or implement globalization and the global trends we see with Jewish. And what come out of it is peoplehood. And I see it as a development. Neo-Zionism. For me, the fact that that you're here for 2 weeks, month, and you come back and forth, and people choose to do their master's degree in Israel instead of Brandeis, because Israel can compete with Brandeis intellectually. We're not there. Wait a little bit. Wait. Some little bit of Middle East mentality. Slowly. It will take a few more years and we will get there. That's no Zionism. I don't want you to be here because you don't choose to. Choose to be here, and we have to be attractive enough to make you choose it.
Yeah, I would say that it's